Have you ever had a dream that felt, well, literally on the other side of the world? This explainer is all about someone who actually went there. We're diving into the incredible story of a solo journey to Antarctica, based on one traveler's super detailed and really honest account of the whole thing. And this is where it all began. It wasn't some huge, grand expedition plan. Nope. It was just a small flame, sparked by a movie and an anime, of all things. This quote just captures it perfectly, right? The very personal, dream-driven vibe of this adventure. This wasn't just a vacation. It was finishing a personal mission he'd had for a long, long time. But, before you get to stand on that pristine Antarctic ice, there's the reality of actually getting there. And that reality, it often involves a lot less glory and a whole lot more grind. This really puts it all in perspective. On one hand, you have the dream, these majestic, unbelievable landscapes. And on the other hand, the reality. For our traveler, who actually called himself a corporate slave, to get just 15 days of leave, he had to work crazy overtime, write these super detailed handover manuals, basically conquer a mountain of office work. The first big hurdle wasn't a glacier. It was just escaping the 9-to-5.
So how do you even get to Antarctica? Well, you basically have two choices. You can fly or you can take a ferry. Flying's faster, yeah, but it's famously unreliable because the weather is just so unpredictable. Our traveler went with the ferry. It's more stable, but it's a much longer journey. And it meant he had to get all the way to the departure city of Ushuaia, Argentina, a place they literally call the end of the world.
And getting to the end of the world is, as you can probably guess, a whole ordeal. This wasn't just hopping on a plane. Oh no. This was a multi-day marathon of endurance, and it was packed with surprises he did not want.
Just get a load of this flight path. He started in Taiwan, had a transfer in Dubai, then another one in Brazil, and then finally landed in Buenos Aires, Argentina. That's a 2-day flight marathon just to get to the right country. And guess what? He still had another flight to go. And then, this happens. After flying halfway across the globe, totally exhausted, he gets to the airport and looks up at the departure board for that final flight to Ushuaia. And there it is. That one soul-crushing word in bright red. Canceled. Can you even imagine the frustration? It's just, wow. And that gut-wrenching moment at the airport? Turns out it wasn't a one-time thing. That was just the first of 3 major flight changes or straight-up cancellations he had to deal with. A trip like this isn't just a test of your physical endurance, it's a test of your patience against this constant, maddening uncertainty. So after finally making it, he had to wait 5 whole days in Ushuaia before his ship even left. This wasn't just some boring layover. It was like a crash course in the unique challenges and some weird comforts of life in the southernmost city on Earth. Okay, first challenge, money. Argentina has this wild dual currency thing going on. There's the official bank rate, and then there's the unofficial blue rate that you get from exchanging cash on the street, which is way better. This meant he was constantly doing math in his head to get the best deal, and often had to carry around this giant wad of cash just to pay for stuff. And what about the food? His culinary adventures were, memorable, but probably for all the wrong reasons. He found the local food, like ham and cheese sandwiches, pretty bland. He even tried a sushi place, but he said they served him something that was like a completely different dish with this weird sticky rice. So what was the best thing he ate at the end of the world? A familiar fast food burger,
Which led him to this hilarious but kind of deep realization. After trying all the local stuff, even expensive king crab that he thought was just so-so, it was the standardized taste of a global chain that hit the spot. It's such a relatable moment, right? Finding comfort in something familiar when you are as far from home as you can possibly get.
And here's a perfect little snapshot of the strange economics down there. He sent some postcards from the famous southernmost post office. The cost for a single stamp? About 110 new Taiwan dollars. And the funny part is, that was more expensive than the postcard itself.
So after all that planning, the canceled flights, the weird sushi, the waiting, the moment was finally here. It was time to get on the ship, crossed the legendary Drake Passage, and finally reached the Antarctic Peninsula.
But first, you have to get through the Drake Passage. And man, it was brutal. For 2 solid days, the ship was rocking so violently that he was pretty much stuck in his bed. He said he felt totally hopeless from the constant motion and the seasickness, even with medicine. It's a pretty harsh reminder that out here, nature is 100% in charge. Once you get into the calmer waters around the peninsula, you don't just, hop off the boat. Every single landing on shore is this super precise, almost military-like operation. It is all about safety and having absolute respect for the environment. First, the captain has to give the all-clear on the weather. Then, a special scout team lands first to check things out and set up a safe zone. Only then do they call passengers, in small groups, to come explore inside a carefully marked out area. And then, the payoff. The reward for everything. He said the feeling of finally stepping onto the continent was like he just walked straight into a Discovery Channel documentary. That surreal, incredible beauty he'd only ever seen on TV was now right there, under his feet, all around him. The dream was finally real.
Being in a place this wild comes with a huge sense of responsibility, and it's governed by some seriously strict rules. The main idea is leave no trace, but they take it to a whole other level. You have to keep your distance from the wildlife, obviously, but you also can't kneel down or lie down or even put your backpack on the ground. The only thing allowed to touch the continent are the soles of your disinfected boots. That's it.
The scale of this place is it's hard to wrap your head around. He described looking at a shoreline from far away and seeing what looked like a field of scattered black rocks. But as the ship got closer, he realized those weren't rocks. Not at all. They were thousands and thousands of penguins in one gigantic, teeming colony.
But of course, every journey has to end. As the ship turned around and headed back north, our traveler had some time to really think about it all. Not just the destination, but everything it took to get there and back. Now, for anyone curious about the cost, the traveler actually gave a full breakdown. And it's probably no surprise that the cruise itself is the lion's share of the expense. We're talking over 70%. It gives you a really practical look at what a massive financial commitment a trip like this actually is.
And this, right here, was his biggest takeaway. After the canceled flights, the seasickness, the confusing money situation, all that frustration, he realized that all of it was part of the adventure. The destination was absolutely incredible, but the whole process, the journey itself, that was the real experience.
So, after 20 days, he was finally home. He'd navigated tons of challenges and managed to check off several personal life goals, from standing on Antarctica to finally flying business class on the long haul back. The whole epic solo adventure, which started as just a tiny spark, was complete.
And that kind of leaves us with the final question, doesn't it? This journey was one person's answer to a deep personal calling. It really makes you wonder, for what dream, for what personal milestone would you be willing to travel to the end of the world?